Okay, so my task for tonight is to share with you my insights and some relevant content of the last part of the Directory for Catechesis, which is part 3. So I'm going to divide my presentation into 4. I will give first the overview of the Directory for Catechesis, particularly in the in part 3 of the book. Second will be I will be zooming in no, the discussion and sharing on catechesis in the digital culture. The third part will be challenges and opportunities. And the last will be a sharing of concrete application of the content of the directory and some educational tools which can be used by catechists like us. Okay, let's move to the next slide. All right. So the last part of the directory has 4 chapters. Chapter 9, catechesis in the particular churches. Chapter 10, catechesis in the face of contemporary cultural scenarios. Chapter 11, catechesis at the service of enculturation. And chapter 12, organisms at the service of catechesis. So since this is the latest edition of the directory, I will be focusing on the part which is which needs to be elaborated, especially that it is uh, you know relevant, and there's a need to dwell on this part since we are all experiencing no digital culture. We are actually in a digital culture. So I will be zooming my presentation in the next would be the digital culture. Okay, so let's begin. Catechesis has an intrinsic cultural and social dimension. So we often consider enculturation in the context of national and ethnic culture, but there is an emerging culture which impacts the work of even of evangelization. And we know that to evangelize is to make the kingdom of God present, even more present in our contemporary culture, which is a very complex reality. So, what is this contemporary world? This world has become so digital. We live in a highly digitalized culture, which impacts our relationships. The global phenomena, or the phenomena of globalization, rather, and the massive use of the media require an integrated approach. As digital culture spans across the world and touches so many people, it has deep implications for the work of evangelization and catechesis. Hence, we need an integrated approach. But every Christian community or ecclesial group is to be the agent of pastoral discernment. Of course, there are, uh, our culture has evolved, and pastoral discernment is needed. It aims at formulating an understanding of the charisma best adapted to the various mentalities so that the process of catechesis may be truly enculturated in the many situations and the gospel may illuminate the lives of all. So the same task of discerning the positive and the negative impact in a given culture is necessary when encountering the emerging digital culture, which we can find now. No, we are already in the digital culture. So what is this digital culture? The culture shaped by the emergence and use of digital technologies. So sige nga, heart react sa mga attendees natin ngayon na mayroong Facebook account, may Twitter, may TikTok account, no, may Instagram account. Heart react. So I'm sure most of us here have been engaged also in these virtual platforms, social media platforms. And these are already part of the present culture that we are in, which is the digital culture. And because of this digital culture, there is a changing and there's a lot of transformation happening, including anthropological transformation. So we hear these words or these terms, digital immigrants. Sino kaya rito sa atin, no, ngayon sa attendees dito, ang part ng grupo na to? Who are these digital immigrants? These are the people who are raised prior to the digital age. These individuals did not grow up with ubiquitous computing or the internet. So sila yung mga pinanganak wala pang internet. Okay? Hindi naman siguro simple machines lang, pero hindi ganoon ka, hindi pa hindi pa tayo gumagamit ng mga advanced technologies such as the internet and all the gadgets that we have now. So the digital immigrants need to adapt to the new language and practice digital technologies. Okay, if you see the image here, you see a grandma being guided and taught by probably her grandchildren. Okay. And of course, the digital natives. These are the people who have grown up under the ubiquitous influence of the internet and other modern information technology. So, nakakagulat, no? Even the little children nowadays can actually navigate, no, the tablet, the cell phones. Sa kahit hindi natin sila tinuturuan, kaya nilang i-navigate yung gadget. And that is very, very obvious, no, among the digital natives. So, aside from these emerging groups, so the digital immigrants and the digital natives, the sad part of the digital culture is the idea that even the digital environment can be an environment of loneliness. No, there's an experience of isolation, manipulation, exploitation, and even violence. Diba? There are students who are victims of cyberbullying. Okay, so that's the irony of the digital environment. Although we are already interconnected, no, virtually, the world has become a very parang small place kasi we can reach other people across the globe in just a snap of a finger. Na i-click mo lang yung mouse mo, you are already connected with people in other parts of the world via video conferencing. But the irony is, habang lumiliit yung mundo, dahil we can reach them, reach different people, the feeling of loneliness and isolation can also be dominant. Okay? The digital spaces can also create distorted vision of reality to the point of leading to the neglect of inner life, visible in the loss of identity and roots, and in progressive dehumanization and ever greater isolation within oneself. So that's the sad part, okay, of this digital environment. And the introduction of these digital tools and their use on a massive scale has caused profound and complex changes on many levels. And because of this, no, the challenge for us religious educators and catechists is to really begin to know how to utilize these tools and embrace digital evangelization and catechesis in Catholic faith formation. Because today's students are accustomed to using digital technology in both their academic and personal lives. So the internet and social networks create an extraordinary opportunity for dialogue, encounter, and exchange between persons, as well as access to information and knowledge. Kasi, di ba, konting terms lang, if you want to get clarified, you can Google. And right away, you can find the definition of a certain word. So, the internet is really very useful. It has its advantages and disadvantages as well. So, the question is, what are the implications of all these digitalizations in the work of evangelization? How can we maximize? How can we take these modern technologies, use these technologies to our own advantage? What are the challenges and opportunities being offered to us by this digital culture? So let us see. First is the digital culture is now the better new and is here to stay. Well, that is true. No, lalo na ngayon na nagkaroon ng pandemic last year, no, when during our first year of the pandemic, we all have migrated to online conferences and discussions, no, nagkaroon ng work from home, online classes, and whether we like it or not, this is actually the present culture. It is now the better new, no? Every month may bagong model ng cellphone or ng gadget. And it seems that our brain is already wired with the new. Okay? The widespread availability of digital technologies is the recent phenomenon, and we all need to work out on how to use these tools in our lives and in our work. So the challenge now is how to effectively and efficiently utilize these tools for the work of evangelization. Because it's not enough to use the tools. It has to be an effective and efficient use of the tools. Okay? So St. John Paul II challenged the church to make our evangelization and catechesis new in order, method, and expression. So simply put, this means cultivating a renewed energy and zeal for our work as catechists. So it is our call. It is our challenge to find ways to form people using the technologies and translate the language of faith to make it palpable to them, to make it comprehensible to the present generation. Because the way we learned back then is far different from how our students learn nowadays. They speak another language. They have different expressions, 'di ba? Like FMO. Have you heard of that? FMO? FMO stands for fear of missing out, no? Kaya they are always online. They always check on the notifications of their Facebook. They don't want to miss out information and updates. Okay? So that's how our students are, speaking, and that's how they learn nowadays. And we have to be there where our students are. We need to get there, speak their language without, of course, altering the truth. Okay? Kailangan pa din maipakita natin sa kanila ang ang truths of our faith, the doctrines, the truths of our faith, even using these technologies. Next opportunity and challenge would be the dissolution of geographical boundaries. So in the past, our ability to form relationships was limited to where we lived. 'Di ba? If we have to attend conferences such as this, we have to, go to a certain place, no? Pay for our transportation fees. Like, kung nasa Cagayan ka, kailangan mo mag-book ng eroplano para makapunta sa Manila so you can attend sessions like this. Pero now, it becomes an advantage that we can attend sessions. Even if we are in different places, we can learn together and meet together like this, what we are having right now. So the good news for faith formation is that it is easier than ever to reconnect, to share, and build community with catechists and evangelists from around the world through services such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Okay? You can listen to Bishop Barron, no? Even without going to America or to different places. We can listen to podcasts. We can join conferences. So that's the beauty of this thing, no? That because of the modern technology, we can now defy boundaries, geographical boundaries. Next opportunity and challenge is the access to information. Information nowadays is ubiquitous. Ano ba yung ubiquitous? It is found everywhere. It is available everywhere. Students can, Google everything. Information in the form of digital files is accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from virtually in any location. Before, if we want to conduct a research, we go to libraries, but now we can download ebooks. But our role as catechists is to guide our students and help them find the right information from trusted sources. Because, Even if these information are available online, we are not sure if these are legitimate sources or Catholic sources. So we need to guide them in searching for trusted sources and form them, form their lives according to the invitation of Jesus to discipleship. But this is the big challenge. And then this is also my reflection question for later's sharing. I want to hear my fellow catechists. Given this digital environment, digital culture, the biggest challenge for each one of us here is how do we foster an authentic encounter even in the virtual world? Ang dami na ngayong filters 'di ba? Kapag gusto mong ma-beautify, ang profile picture mo, gagamit ka lang ng filter, 'di ba? And in some cases, some people would not use their real image, their real photo as their profile pic. And that can be an avenue for deception, no? Panloloko. How can we foster an authentic encounter even if we are a monitor away from our student? Di ba yan, kayo ngayon, paano nyo nararamdaman na authentic ang encounter ninyo kahit na ang kausap nyo ay nasa monitor lang? Di ba yan nga yung struggles ng mga priest last year when we were in our first year of lockdown? Conducting mass online is such a struggle because some priests do not feel comfortable talking to their screens. I think we feel the same way when we talk to our students. Tapos ayaw pa nilang mag-turn on ang camera nila. Diba? How can we create an authentic encounter? How can we bring Jesus to them even in this virtual platform? So now it's my turn to share with you some online teaching tools which might be helpful for you as you conduct your catechesis or the work of evangelization online. I'm not here to elaborate on the tools. You may want to later on during your free time or maybe tomorrow, you can browse these applications and try it so you can utilize these tools. Okay, so let's go to the first tool, which might be helpful and fun for students and teachers, especially when you want to have a virtual field trip. Catechists can use Google Earth. Use this application with your students to create a detailed trip based on Bible stories. So pwedeng pumunta kayo sa iba't ibang lugar virtually. Possibilities are endless for the use of Google Earth in the religious classroom. So let me show you how it is utilized. Okay, so I'm going to share again my screen here. So that's Google Earth. So you can use this if you want to bring your students to churches, for example, since now we are the younger students, the younger ones are not allowed to go out yet. So ang gagawin nyo, ita-type nyo lang yung place. So for example, ang topic nyo is about the Vatican, the St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican. So you can actually bring them there virtually like that. So from the Philippines, we go now to the Vatican City where we can find St. Peter's Basilica. Okay, and then you find here a little background about the Basilica found in the Vatican City. So you will that's it. Okay. All right. So ang gagawin natin is you just drag this icon below. And then if you want to, for example, zoom into the basilica, you just have to drag it there. And then it will move to the actual basilica right there. Okay, di ba cute siya? Parang may field trip lang. Alright. So that's it. And the next would be, so after Google Earth is, ayan. This one naman, you can use this during synchronous class. It's an interactive PowerPoint. So it's the usual PowerPoint, but it can be used as an interactive tool kasi your students can be invited to type in their thoughts. So for example, nag-brainstorm kayo about what is faith. So you can actually invite them to write their thoughts, their answers on the slide. And ang cute dito kasi they can also see you dun sa cursor. Yun nga lang, kapag you are using Zoom, you cannot see your face in the cursor kasi kailangan isa lang yung gumagamit ng camera. So like this, I'm going to show you an example. So this one is pitch. See it now? This is the slide, sample slide. It's like a PowerPoint. And if you want to invite your students, yan, there's a share button here. Yan, so i-share nyo lang yung link sa kanila by typing in their email address. Yan, no. Yan. So it's a good thing kasi your students can see you, 'di ba? Iba yung feeling na nakikita ka ng estudyante habang nagsasalita ka. So yeah, you can type in your definition, for example, like that. So faith is, yeah. And then your students can be invited to share their thoughts. So you just click here, yan, public access, so they can have an access to it, link to the current slide, and you may type in their email address, or pwede rin naman selected students lang if you want to call them. Diba? So that's it. That's the beauty of an interactive PowerPoint, such as pitch. So later you may want to browse it and try it yourselves. Okay? So there. After pitch would be, sige, X ko muna to. So after pitch is Flipgrid. This one is very beautiful also kasi you can actually see your students sharing their thoughts. I use this Flipgrid when I want to ask for their reflection. So it's a different thing kasi it's not written, but you can see them share their reflection in a video format. So like that. I'm going to show you a sample. So this one, I made this last September 13. And my question for reflection is, how did you experience the overflowing goodness of God, specifically in this time of pandemic? So share one specific instance or experience and end with a prayer of gratitude. So ito yung mga entries ng estudyante ko. So it's like they recite their reflections to you. So I'm going to show you a sample like this one.
Hello po. So, for this question, how did I experience the overflowing goodness of God, especially in the pandemic? I believe naman po every waking moment I have, every day, is already a testament of God's overflowing goodness to our family. Like what my dad always say, we are blessed. We are very blessed because my parents have a job and they can provide for our needs and wants. Because we hear a lot of stories naman po in the social media, in news, na people are losing jobs, people don't have food to eat.
Yan. So that's only a sample of the use of Flipgrid in sharing your students' reflection. They can video record themselves, and then you can see it right away. Okay, that's a beautiful thing also. And next, okay, I think I'm done with all the tools. So okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation. There. So yan yung mga sample tools which you can use, the Flipgrid, the Pitch, and Google Earth. No? Actually, Google Earth hindi na yan bago, dati na yan. Pero baka lang meron dito sa grupo na might want to bring your students to virtual field trip. And I also find it interesting and fun. Okay, and also, speaking of digital platforms for event, as to use these digital platforms for evangelization. I'm sure kilala nyo si Father Fiel pareha, the Father TikTok, no, naging trending si Father sa TikTok before kasi well, para sa ilan no, parang hindi yata normal na makakita ng priest or madre sa TikTok kasi sabi nga nila pari yan, dapat hindi sila sumasali sa ganyan. But this quote from Father Fial struck me, no? Huwag daw ako sumali sa usapang politika, pari raw ako, pangmisa lang daw ako. Sige, DM, ano yung DM? Direct message ko sa iyo, voters ID ko. Jesus calls out an unjust society during his time. I'm a Christian, I'm Christ follower. Shout out to lukewarm Christians na hanggang paiyak-iyak lang sa worship. Isn't that true, di ba? We can use these platforms to evangelize, to catechize, and to discuss the beautiful truths of our faith. No? At katulad niyan, no, maganda kasi ang mga estudyante, ang mga students natin would also think our priests, no, our sisters, the mga madre, they are not left behind. They can also jive with us. Iba kasi kapag nakikita mo na ang teacher mo o ang catechist mo kaya ding sumabay sa inyo. Okay, so let's not be scared of this thing, no? I hope that you use your Facebook account, Instagram account, Twitter and TikTok as a platform to evangelize, as a platform to guide our students to grow in their faith. Okay? Another thing is, mag-share pa ako ng isa. Okay. So, here. This one. Wow. O, di ba? So, dyan pa lang kita natin how Father Jason utilized YouTube to evangelize the young people. Imagine, no, the look of it, the video, the style of the video is already can already capture the audience, the young people most especially. Okay? So, lastly, so malapit na akong matapos sa aking sharing. All right. So these new digital culture offers a lot of opportunities and challenges for the preaching of the gospel. Alam natin na talagang challenging, extra challenging itong digital culture for us. But as with other cultures, we must discern the helpful from the harmful and adopt the attitude of the saints who evangelize new lands and people even as we set a course for digital continent. Of course, too much of anything is potentially harmful, so let's approach digital evangelization and catechesis assuming a balance of technology with traditional communication, relationships, and pedagogical approaches. Above all, keep in mind the divine pedagogy, the pedagogy of love. So thank you very much. I hope that you have learned something, and I hope that learning these things would motivate us even more to do and give our best for Jesus, no, in this mission of evangelization and catechesis. Thank you very much, Caritas Christi Urgent Nos.